All right, man, peace. So now I stated in a video a while back that the NBA is truly in great shape. When you look at their young players and where they're heading as a league, the skill set of many of their young players will ensure that the NBA is going to be a very exciting league to watch for years to come. And I even noted that despite the fact that a few years ago, many of the top NBA analysts claimed that the big man was no longer relevant in the NBA. The big man has had a major resurgence. And as a matter of fact, most of the great up-and-coming players in the NBA are big men, which led ESPN to create a list of the best players in the NBA under 25 years old, and all of them were big men. So, of course, they're going to talk about it. I'm going to chime in.
We got to get to this next thing because we always talk about all the young talent in the league. ESPN.com has ranked them, the top 25 players under the age of 25. And I want to show you guys how they stacked their top five. Giannis was their number one. Anthony Davis came in second. Joel Embiid was third. Cat and the Joker rounded out the top five. And first off, can we just remark on how quickly things change in this league? We are now perhaps in the middle of the greatest guard era in the NBA.
Well, the greatest point guard era, arguably in NBA history, yes. In regards to the shooting guards, is actually lacking. This is actually a very poor era for shooting guards. You can make the case for players like James Harden and Klay Thompson, Bradley Beal, DeMar DeRozan. But other than those players, there are not that many prominent shooting guards in the NBA anymore. You have Devin Booker on the come up, but the shooting guard used to be a strength of the NBA in the mid to late 80s into the mid 90s, I would say. Even into the late 90s, early 2000s. But the early 2000s when it started to get weak. In the early 2000s, all you had was Kobe, Ray Allen, and Dwayne Wade. But all throughout the late 80s into the 90s, the NBA was very strong at shooting guard. Right now, it's kind of weak at shooting guard. And that's predominantly due to the fact that the point guards in the league now dominate the basketball so much. And then they also shoot it so much. They don't just pass it, they shoot it a lot. Oh, let me also mention CJ McCollum. He's also a very good shooting guard in the NBA. But on another team, you can make the case that he'd probably be playing the point because he's a little too small to be playing shooting guard on a team that's championship ready. To be quite frank with you, that's really what Portland is missing. They're missing a larger two guard and more dispersal of the basketball. That's why they're around a high 40s level win team. I think that if they were to trade McCollum, utilize their big man more, Nurkic, trade McCollum for a larger guard who could score and also defend, and utilize their front court a little more, they go from a high 40s win team to a mid 50s win team, just like that.
And now all of a sudden, all these young up-and-comers are superstars
Those are
tomorrow.
4s and 5s, all of them.
And no guards.
And not only that, but I think they still are reflective of where the NBA is going. Look at all those guys.
Yeah.
They're all very...
But it's just, you would not have thought, if I told you 3 years ago when Steph's setting the...
Now look, this dingbat cut off Amin El Hassan. What he was trying to say was that even though all those players are all big men, they still don't deviate from what the NBA wants to do, which is to open up the court, because they can all shoot from the outside. I mean, other than Giannis. And one would think that long-range shooting is a skill that he's working on diligently. But Amin's point, or the point he was trying to make before this dingbat cut him off, was that even though you look at all the top players under 25, the top 5 of those top 25 under 25 are all big men, but their skill set is on a guard level. That was the point that he was going to make before the Wicked Witch of the West cut him off.
The threes record and all that stuff. I said, oh, when we do in 3 years our next bud of superstars, there's going to be no guards in it.
Yeah.
No, it's been insane. Do you guys get with Giannis over AD?
The NBA is in a great place. I would take Giannis over AD in regards to his health. But AD right now, as I've stated, he's knocking on the door for that 5-star rating. He's knocking on the door. It depends on what he does in the playoffs right now. One could make the case that Giannis is the Eastern Conference version of Anthony Davis. But Giannis has to improve his outside game. AD, the only real hitch that he has in his game is his health. And the fact that he has not done much in the playoffs. That's truly the only thing stopping him from entering that 5-star level. And that's a lot for me to say that, because all the other 5-star guys have won MVP awards or been MVP level on teams that have won championships. My top 4 guys, they've all won NBA championships. And other than Curry, they've all been NBA MVPs. And other than Kawhi, they've all been regular season MVPs. So it's saying a lot that I consider Anthony Davis to be someone who's knocking on the door of that 5-star rating. But he's playing so exceptionally now near the end of this season that I have to put him there. Yes, over James Harden. Yes, over Westbrook. Yes, over Giannis. Yes, over Kyrie. But Giannis has to improve his outside game. Giannis also has a lot to prove in the playoffs as well. But I would take him over AD overall because of the health. I'm not sure when AD is going to go down again.
Now, I mean, I don't want to be a prisoner of the moment because, I mean, obviously AD the last month has just been insane. I mean, I still like, do I have to choose? Do I really have to choose?
Yes, bitch, you got to choose.
I have to choose. I mean, I think there's a certain intensity to Giannis that smells like superstar to me. Mm-hmm. In a way, they're both superstars. I'm kidding. But it smells like greatness. But what Davis has done in the last month is giving me, again, not that I'm ever a prisoner of the moment, but man, it's hard not to have a little recency bias when you saw what we did last night across the street.
Well, he's showing you what he's capable of.
Well, this is where I'm not going to go smell test like Kevin. I'm going to go something a lot more tangible. Those guys, those 5 guys, probably the most durable guys Giannis has to scoop on. Yeah. And that's where I'm going with that. If you're asking for a differentiator why he's won over AD, over Embiid, both guys who are otherworldly talents, guys who we I think in 20 years or so we'll be seeing them in Springfield.
Yes, Embiid is extraordinary. He looks to me like a mixture of Patrick Ewing and Hakeem Olajuwon. He's not as fast as Hakeem was, but his game reminds me a lot of Ewing, except he's a little bit quicker than Patrick was, just a little bit. Patrick, near the end of his career, used to take a lot of flack for taking so many long jump shots. For those of you who remember the mid to late 90s Patrick Ewing, it got to the point where the Knicks fans used to boo him for taking long jumpers. Now that's the end thing. Patrick Ewing would kill today, where they let you take 23, 24-foot jumpers as a center.
But Giannis hasn't gotten hurt like those other guys have.
It's so true. Durability is
that's
kind of the magic potion.
Right.
That's what.
Patrick Ewing was another player who came into the NBA viewed mostly as a defensive player, as was Olajuwon. Shows you how much work they put into their game to become such dynamic offensive forces. The difference is that Patrick broke down in the early to mid-90s. His body started to break down, and of course, he could never get through Jordan and the Bulls.
That's what separates, LeBron from, guys who might have had many of our friends on the show.
AKA the Terminator. I don't know what's underneath LeBron's skin, but I'm sure that it's not flesh and bones. I'm pretty sure that it's a titanium alloy.
On the show here, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he just said you smell. I'm not sure.
No, he said you smell.
And I think producer Steve is sad because we never got to the
No, I think he probably said you smell. Just keep your legs crossed.
Kristaps Porzingis B-roll, but maybe next time, Steve. Coming up.
But anyway, that's their list of the top players under 25. I do agree that AD has the most upside, but Giannis is the most dependable because of his level of health. We'll see where this goes. The NBA is in very good shape. But anyway, peace.